Until recently, I thought of Dying Light as little more than the free-running zombie game from the people who made Dead Island. And yeah, they have a lot in common. Bloody combat, a hungry legion of zombies, but Dying Light carves out a new and exciting space in what is frankly an already crowded subgenre. What makes it feel different largely comes down to three key areas. The parkour system, which is not only fun, but tactical, some brutal melee combat, and behind it all, there's the dynamic progression of time, because when darkness falls, Dying Light suddenly becomes a very different experience.
It turns the parkour into something that you really need to use to survive. It's not just a gimmick just for the sake of it. It's actually necessary for you to move through that world and be able to survive.
The campaign begins with you waking up in a dilapidated skyscraper, a place where humanity is holed up, barricaded in, trying to regroup and rebuild. After some brief training, you're thrown out into the world to make allies and look for supplies. Dying Light's parkour system quickly becomes intuitive. Nearly every wall and surface can be scaled or vaulted, and every window and ledge is a potential foothold. Running across rooftops and leaping onto adjacent buildings never feels like it's on rails. It's fluid and open enough to allow expression. The layout of the city isn't formulaic either. The slum is an intentional mess, an area that's been built up over time rather than planned. But it works, since you're constantly making decisions about how best to traverse it, rather than switching on autopilot. And it's one of the things I found so compelling about Dying Light. How you negotiate a skyline is both a strategic and defensive component. Putting vertical distance between you and the zombies below, who shuffle about on street level mainly, creates a degree of safety. It also gives you an invaluable perspective on the world around you. Fluidity and speed come over time. Right at the beginning, climbing is more difficult and intentionally cumbersome. You run out of breath easily, and it takes just that bit too long to pull yourself up on a ledge, and the danger of being caught is much greater. It's difficult to string together a fluid sequence, but it's not long before you're unlocking the extensive skill trees and expanding the moves at your disposal. Free running isn't in Dying Light just because it's cool and it's been in some other games. It makes sense within the world that's been created, and also with regards to the enemy you're fighting. The zombies in Dying Light don't try to hit you, they try to grab you. That's what they're programmed to do, to grab you and hold you back. The key to evading them is moving quickly and fluently.
You know, one of the things that we had to do in order to make the combat feel good, we wanted to know what it feels like. If you want to cook good food, you have to eat good food. So if you want to make good combat, you really need to know what it feels to hit something.
And that's exactly what the designers and animators at Techland did. They invited martial artists to the studio in Poland and arranged sandbags in the car park outside. They grabbed baseball bats and iron rods and learned what it was like to hit something, and hit something hard. There are dozens and dozens of weapons in Dying Light, from the standard scavenged fur, wrenches and small knives to much more exotic weapons. They can be modded to unleash surprising effects. You can also invest XP over time to unlock more devastating abilities, such as jumping from the sky and unleashing a powerful slam attack. When you're on the ground or in a corner, the combat tends to feel claustrophobic. Enemies are right there in your face, and you can be quickly surrounded. Sometimes it's wise to use combat to create an exit route, but there are also traps you can rig around the city to help you while you're out exploring. From exploding cars and electrified fences to much more low-tech solutions like spikes. All can be activated on the go, helping you dispatch zombies without ever breaking your stride. But it's the central conceit, the relentless march of day into night, which really makes it feel different. During the day, you feel in control. The city's a sandbox to be explored and played in. Yes, you can still be caught off guard or get cornered, but you always have the upper hand. But at night, it's totally different. You feel stranded and you feel hunted. And it was in those moments Dying Light did something I wasn't expecting. It made me scared of the dark. I've played loads of games with a day and night cycle, but so few do a good job of making nighttime feel authentic. Usually it just feels like someone switched off the lights or turned on a filter. You can still see exactly where you're going, but in Dying Light, the dark almost feels impenetrable. The atmosphere becomes colder, more eerie and suspenseful. The synth-led score reminded me of John Carpenter at his best. There are big parts of the slum where there are no streetlights, and you can barely see where you're going. And what's worse is the world is so much more dangerous. Zombies are more aggressive, and unique enemies only come out after dark, like the Night Hunter, which chases you across rooftops and appears as if from nowhere. If Dead Island was a cheesy B-movie, Dying Light is a video nasty straight from the 80s. It's intense, frantic, and scary. Bye.